Hello from the UK, and today I will be reviewing the self-titled debut album by Ducks Deluxe, which was released on the RCA Victor label in 1974. By the early 1970s, a lot of rock music had lost its connection to the adrenaline rush of early rock and roll. A new generation of back-to-basics bands started to seek out small venues in the unfashionable parts of London. An upstairs room at a pub could be hired for a few quid, so bands would take on a weekly residency. If they were good, they would start to build up an audience and a buzz. Ducks Deluxe were one of the first bands to take this approach. Their pub of choice was the Tally Ho in Kentish Town. They played there twice a week, managing to subsist on the princely sum of £30 each a week. They squatted nearby in Camden Town. The Tally Ho was where the American expats, Eggs Over Easy, had started the so-called pub rock movement in 1971, and where Brinsley Schwarz set up residence soon after. Brinsley Schwarz are a seminal band that included Nick Lowe. Their roadie, Martin Belmont, watching from the wings, was inspired by what he saw. He set about forming Ducks Deluxe with Sean Tyla, a roadie with Help Yourself. The lineup of the band finally settled on Sean Tyla, rhythm guitar and vocals, Martin Belmont, lead guitar and vocals, Nick Garvey on bass guitar and vocals, and Tim Roper on drums. Nick Garvey was also a roadie. He'd worked as road manager with the Flamin Groovies when they came over to the UK in 1972. Between the four of them, they brought a surfeit of talent to the table. Tyler, Belmont and Garvey were all able to handle lead vocals. Even more crucially to their development, all three were songwriters. Eschewing any unnecessary embellishments, they kept musical arrangements tight and stuck to song structures from the rock and roll and beat group eras. The music was presented live in a proto-punk, belligerent manner. It was always going to be a tough task trying to recreate the energy they brought to live performance in a studio setting. Writer and former pub rock musician himself, Will Birch, says of the early Ducks Deluxe gigs at the Tally Ho, they blasted out their hard-driving punk rock, drawing on the intensity of the MC5, the street drawl of Lou Reed, and the teen angst of Eddie Cochran. Having increased their gig rate in 1973, they were signed to RCA Victor and went into the Saturn Sound Studios in Worthing in October 1973. The producer was Dave Bloxham, chosen by the band because he had co-produced Funky Kingston by Toots and the Maytals, a band favourite. Apart from covers of It's All Over Now, the Bobby Womack song, which was popularised of course by the Rolling Stones, and Nervous Breakdown, first recorded by Eddie Cochran, they played to their strengths as songwriters. It is a measure of Tyler, Belmont and Garvey's skills as writers that many of the tracks have a catchy familiarity. Debut single Coast to Coast, a mix of MC5 vocals and Flamin Groovy Cyril Jordan rocking guitar, has a relentless energy and a chorus which won't be denied. If Sean Tyla didn't look quite so menacing and aggressive and possessed the more teeny bop friendly good looks of their young drummer Tim Roper, who knows, it might have been a hit. Fireball, possibly the best track on the album, sounds like the Velvet Underground's Sweet Jane with a few notes rearranged. I wonder if they had the guts to play it live when they supported Lou Reed on his Rock and Roll Animal tour in 1974. Daddy Put the Bomp sounds like a jaunty Dave Edmunds rock and roll pastiche. It's a great song, deserving of a cover version from an American country rock artist like Marty Stewart. I can imagine him singing the lines, "Down in the swamp, Daddy put the bomb in my soul." Please, 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 as you might imagine just from its title alone, owes a debt of gratitude to the early Beatles. A short and sweet guitar solo is pitch perfect, and there's another chorus you feel you have known all your life. Don't Mind Rockin' Tonight is a Chuck Berry indebted song. Guest musician Bob Andrews from Brinsley Schwarz adds his unmistakable keyboards to West Texas Trucking Board, and Sean Tyla does his best Dylan impression on this song. Too Hot to Handle appeals with its funky interjections of guitar, falsetto backing vocals and more keyboards from Bob Andrews. By this time you've acclimatized to Sean Tyla's rasp and are thinking he can stand comparison with fellow raspers like Mark Knopfler and Joe Strummer. The album's unique selling point is that it presents American rock and roll, country-tinged rock, and even a little soul influence on the brass-assisted slow burner I Got You and the tenor and baritone saxophone-enhanced Falling for That Woman, all through the prism of Londoner attitude. The roots of London punk are clearly visible. On their second album, Taxi to the Terminal Zone, master-producer Dave Edmonds gave the songs a more pop-friendly sheen and made the band work on their vocal harmonies. But if you only want one Ducks Deluxe record in your collection, their debut album can't be beat. Sadly, both Sean Tyla and Tim Roper passed away a few years ago. Right now, I'm feeling nothing but love for the wonderful barroom rocking Ducks Deluxe.